Hello, everyone. This is Coach Oliver once again. Welcome to round number 3 of the FIDE Grand Prix 2022 in Berlin, Germany. And here, the moment we have been waiting for, is Wesley So's first win after almost 4 months in classical chess. The last time Wesley won a classical event was in the US Chess Championship in October. And now it's February, so it's almost 4 months. All right, since we are all excited, this is his game against Shiro. His patience has finally paid off. Right. Let's go. He started with c4. It's English, but it's going to transpose to the Slav after Shiro c6. Now we have the Slav defense. Knight into f3, g5, and now d4. Okay, we have the Slav. Knight into f6, e3, avoiding the Miran, because Shirov likes to play d takes c4 also on the Queen's Gambit accepted in c4, so e3 protects that on c4. Let's say if Wesley plays knight c3 and Shirov would like to go for d takes c4, because that is Shirov's style. If let's say you play e4, probably Shirov goes for b5 here. Creates some imbalances. Okay, this is the Geller gambit of the Slav. Okay, again, an important thing is knowing your opponent. Shirov is known for his fire on board. So better play it positionally. Bishop f5, knight into c3, e6. We have a reverse London system with the bishop on f5. Knight goes to h4, bishop e4, f3, bishop into g6, bishop d2. D takes e4, takes on c4. Black gives up the central squares, but he gains a tempo for the bishop. Okay, this is an interesting b5 move. Wesley went for bishop e3. Here, if Wesley wants to go for 2 bishops, he could also take on g6 after takes and then bishop e3. Maybe he was worried about bishop e6 attacking the h2 pawn. But then again, white can simply play maybe a4 here. More dynamic position arises. If let's say a b4 and a knight e4, if black decides to take on h2, just queen c2 and prepare casting a queen side. Because if let's say you play knight takes e4, takes on e4, if you check on g3, king goes to e2. If you hit this one, you also have rook takes and you control the h file, right? If you castle, for example, f4, the bishop is dead on g3, threatening rook h3. There's also rook h1, threatening mate on h8. Okay, this is a possibility with that knight h6. Okay, Wesley went for bishop b3. Shirov was quite smart with bishop d3. Anyways, the bishop is going to be dead, so he tries to exchange it with the light square bishop. Takes, but then at the expense of the pawn. This is a double pawn. King is still in the middle. White has enough time to take that c4 pawn. Wesley started with g3, protecting the knight on h4 because the knight in the rim is dim. Square for the knight on g2. Okay, you have to be careful here because black also has g5, right? A knight's trap. So Wesley went for g3. So c5, queen a4 check, takes. A pawn is a pawn. Okay. Black sacrifices the pawn for development. Wesley's problem is his knight on h4 and the underdeveloped bishop on c1. Bishop into c5, queen c4. So black's activity is pretty obvious here. Rook to c8, threatening bishop takes e3. Good move by Wesley, queen e2, regrouping, have to regroup. Keeping an eye on e3. Knight into e5, the d3 square is under attack. Castles. Queen d3, takes. Knight into g2, repositioning the knight. Again, the knight in the rim is dim. Now you're threatening knight f4, you're threatening rook to d1, king to e7, rook to d1 first, hd8. Now very strong and annoying knight on d3, but Wesley has king f1, threatening king e2, driving away that knight on d3 because it's nailing white's position, right? White's activity is being stopped by this knight, restricted by the knight on d3. Bishop b4, knight e2 first. The bishop and the rook is attacking that c3 knight. Knight goes to e5, takes. Okay, when you are up a pawn, just simplify. The more pieces you exchange, more chances of winning. Okay, faster it is to win when you exchange pieces. Go into a king and pawn endgame with an extra pawn. Yeah, this is a queenside majority, 2-for-1. Same number of pawns on the king side of the right. Okay, rook takes d8, centralizing the knight, blocking the infiltration of the rook to d1. Bishop goes to c5, attacking the knight on d4, knight to e3. Okay, counter attack on the bishop. Bishop into d6, king e2. King protects the pawn in f3. It's also taking away the d1 square, so no rook d1. Right, multi-purpose move for the king. Knight into d5, e4. Okay, black's pieces are active, but slowly but surely, white is, of course, gaining the. Okay, white has the upper hand in terms of material. Knight b4, bishop d2. Finally, the bishop is moved. Okay, one more piece slipping. The knight is attacking a2, so the bishop attacks the knight. If the knight moves, the rook is free to go. a5 protecting the knight, bishop into c3. Stable square for the bishop with the protection of the pawn, eating the knight on e5. A centralized knight. Knight into c4, a4. Right. This pawn is a target. Look at this knight, look at this bishop. Okay. This a5 pawn is a long-term weakness. So a4 fixes that weakness on a5. Knight into d3, attacking b2 with the two knights. Rook to b1. Patience is a virtue. Okay. Slowly but surely. f6, blocking the bishop's attack on the g7 pawn. Knight into e1, as I've said. Simplification. Yeah, you're up a pawn. You don't need to be greedy. One pawn is enough to win the game. So just simplify. The process of elimination. The knight goes back. Black should not simplify. He has to keep more pieces on the board. Okay, rook c1, g5, f4. Okay, breaking the knight's. Right. This two, right? Breaking the tango. Takes an f4. Right, no more connection. It's far away from the c4 knight. Okay, knight into d3, protecting f4. Sure, went for bishop e3, hitting the pawn and the rook. But Wesley was very calm with rook to c1. Rook to f1. The knight and the rook protects f4. Again, in the endgame, have to protect your pieces, especially the pawns. Pawn is a potential queen. Okay, bishop goes back to b6, f5. Yes. Takes. Now the rook is active from rook a1 to c1 to f1. Okay, from c1 to f1 to f1. Right, the rook has finally come alive. Rook to d6, because the bishop and the rook was attacking f6, it was forced to protect the f6 pawn. Rook to h5, isolated pawn on h7. That's the weakness. Look at the 3 pawns. It's 3 island pawns. Rook into e6. Okay, 2 pawns up. I guess 1 pawn is enough, but the more the merrier. King to f3, protecting the e4 pawn. King to c6, knight f4, process of elimination once again. Takes on f4, takes. If black decides to play knight e5, keeping it, just go back to e2. Yes, this knight jumps to d5. If the rook, let's say, goes to d6, for example, knight on d5, yeah, then the rook can go, or the knight can take the bishop and take the pawn on a5. So you went for knight takes f4, king f4. This pawn is a target. This pawn is a target. Rook to d6. This is already winning for white, but he just needs to be careful. Make sure that no pieces are hanging. Yeah, it ain't over until the lady sinks. Okay, rook to f7, knight e5, rook g7, rook to d1. Okay, if Wesley tries takes on e5, takes on e5, let's say king takes e5, there's rook d3. You gotta be careful there, because the knight's squares are limited. If you go back, for example, knight to c1 with bishop d4 check. Shirov was very smart. Okay, then rook to e3. The knight on the a2 square. Okay, don't be greedy. Okay. Wesley was very smart. Okay, there's a long-term weakness. It is also a weakness. You don't have to rush. Don't be in a hurry. Patience again. Patience is a virtue. Rook to d1. Okay, finally, knight takes a5. And Shirov made the last mistake, although the game is already decided after that one pawn. Yeah. With king d6, final move by Wesley, bishop b4, Shirov is fine. Okay, if the king moves to e7, we have a checkmate on. Sorry, if the king moves to e6, we have a checkmate on e7. Protection of the bishop. Pawn takes away the d5 square. And if, let's say, the bishop blocks the check with g5, knight to b7, double attack on the king. Right? So an impressive win by Wesley. After his 2 draws in the first 2 rounds, he was waiting for his opportunity. Yes. Once the opportunity presents itself, he was there to grab it. And Shirov was also coming off from a loss against Dominguez. So this was Wesley's best chance, because, I mean, Shirov is a wounded tiger after coming from a loss. Yeah. And that was it. Hopefully this is going to be a good starting point for Wesley to qualify for the candidates. But we will see in the next few days. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thank you for supporting our channel, Chart Smash Chess, on Facebook and on YouTube. We will continue our coverage of the FIDE Grand Prix 2022 in Berlin, Germany in the days to come. This is Coach Oliver signing off. Bye, everyone. Stay safe.